Hi viewers, and now in this video we are going to discuss something more interesting. Most of the time when we have these drop down lists, so if there is a lot of information up, if the drop down list is more than 100, so we face a lot of problem when we filter our items. For example, here we have few items, but if your drop down list has a lot of items, so you cannot here type something. And if you want that, if I type something, so here I should have some option and then I select from that. So that is a little bit difficult in drop down list. So how you can create a drop down list which is searchable. For example, if here I just write GILL and click the drop down, so it will show me all those names which contain GILL, and I would just select the one that I want and it would be updated. So how can, because most of the time when we are using drop down lists, so in MS Excel, if you want a drop down list which is searchable, in which you type here, and when and the drop down is filtered to the text that you have typed in this box. So that's in Excel mostly we do with Visual Basic. But if you want that without Visual Basic, so now you have that formula available. Let's see how we can do that. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. So now if you see here, when I click this, so I see all these names, but if the list is long, so I will have to search with this scroll bar. But what if I type here a name and then just click this? So now it's giving me this error. So how you can do that? Let's start. First of all, when you develop a drop down list, so that drop down list you must convert that to a table. Why? Because when later on you add some other names to the drop down, so those will also be available in the drop down list. So that you must keep in mind. Now, for example, this is my drop down, and I want traditionally what we do, we just come here and go to the data and data validation, and from here we select list, and then we range the source of the drop down. Or if we have developed a name manager, so just we write the name manager and click OK. So we have the drop down. But if you want a drop down which is searchable, then you need to do two things, which I have already explained in my previous video of search box also, and that is to add these three formulas to your drop down list, which is search, is number, and filter. Now, how we can do that? Uh, Usually we keep our data source sheet separate from the database, but I am doing it here just to make it a bit easy for you to understand each step. Otherwise, you should do this in a separate sheet. Now, search. For search formula, what I will do, I will just simply say that find this specific, the drop down, the name that I would be selecting from a cell. So you just select that cell, and then where to search in your drop down list, the cell's main name or whatever this column is. So here, for example, is equal to search, small bracket, find text. Which text do you want to find? This one here under this column, comma. Within text, where do you want to find it? Here in this column. And then just close the bracket. You don't need this start num, etc. Close the bracket. And you see here one is only here Gilmano, because here we have entered this name. If I remove this, so every column is 1, nothing is there. Now is number is simple. Is number, just to extract true false from this, is number. If this is number, so it would say true, otherwise it would say false. So I just drag that. You do not need to drag the search formula. When you enter it, it is dragged automatically to the end of the row. Now I need filter formula. So for filter, I will write filter filter up array. You have to select the array, the range. This is my range. Okay, I selected that. Then comma, include what? This true false. See if it's true, so give the result. And if empty, it says if empty, then you should say no results in the inverted comma or whatever text you want to add here. So here you see John's every name mentioned here is filtered here. Now, traditionally, what we do, we just come here, go to data validation, and here we just add our drop down menu. Now, here I will not select the drop down menu, rather, I would select this portion, this filter one, this column. I will select this filter column for the list. And one another thing that you must do is the error alert. And here you should unmark this show error alert after invalid data is entered. Because when you click a drop down menu cell, so it gives this error. So we do not need this error. Okay, this is must. Now here when you come, you see here you see the drop down also, but if I want to type, so you can type here. When I type Gil and I click here, so you see two names in my data source. There are two names which start with Gil, so it is giving me only those two names. Now the name that I want to enter here, I will select it, and you will see that you have that searchable. Now in this drop down, the text that I have given here only contain that. And if you write here something which is not in the drop down, so it will just do nothing. It would give you no information. Location is empty, nothing for that. And how I did this location, I have just used that VLOOKUP formula that we already did in our previous session. If you haven't watched that, so go to the description of this video. You will find the link, Learn MS Excel playlist, and here you have this a detailed session on VLOOKUP. So this is simple, a searchable. For example, you have a dashboard where you want that you have a long list of different items on which you want the dashboard to be filtered. So here you can add such type of drop down with the help of these formulas. Now you see in the filter there is no result. But if I write, for example, SOR, SOR. So when I see here, it has already filtered Sorvino, the name. And here also we see only that name. So you can hide these columns then or keep them in another sheet. But it was just to know that how we can develop a searchable drop down list. The only difference is that in the traditional ways we just go to data validation, and from there we just add a specific we click list and that specific name manager. But if you want a searchable, then you will have to add against your drop down values a search formula, is number formula, and filter. And instead of adding this to the drop down, you will add the filter one to the drop down. So whatever you type here, it would be filtering the names or the information that you want. And yes, one most important thing is that when you are adding this drop down here, so you just select the first row, the first cell, and then type hash. What is the function of this hash? Do not drag the whole column, for example, like this. Don't do this. Just select the first cell and then type hash. What is the function of this hash? It means that if in this column there is only one name, so it would select one. If there are two, three, so onward, this hash will help you that if there are more cells filled, so it would automatically filter that those names also. So use this hash, only first cell and then hash and OK. So now you see you have complete drop down, but if you write some names, for example, K, just K. So you see here with K we have only one name, so that is here hash. So that hash means whether this side or this side. If you want that I need this first cell, but if the other cells are also filled, so take them as well. So for that you use hash. You can use these three formula in different ways. It's not about the formula, it's about the ideas, how you can manipulate different formulas. And here in this filter column also you can add all these formulas, but for that, as I mentioned in my previous video, I would be sharing a video in which I would be explaining that how you can combine different formulas into one, so that you save multiple columns and in just in one column you do all the. So this was about the searchable drop down list. Most of the people were asking me about this. Here I have used this simple example, but your example might be a lengthy one, so you just need these three columns against your drop down values, and then you just, instead of this column, use this column for the drop down. And one another thing that is very important is to come here and uncheck this. I hope you enjoyed the session. If you have any comment, any questions, so you can comment on the video. And to subscribe the channel, like the video, comment and share with your friends, colleagues and family. Thank you so much. Hope you like the video. Like, subscribe and press the bell icon. And thanks for watching.